Here we go. Episode 150, 150 of the Trash Talk Business Podcast. This is our opportunity every week to grow and expand and build this junk removal dream that we're living every single day. As always, I'm Andy Weins, owner of Camo Crew Responsible Junk Removal, and your host. This week's guest, Christopher Weir. He was on back in October with Spartan Junk Removal, 3 locations in the greater Maryland area. Is that accurate-ish?
Yes.
To be fair, I did my research live on the air last week. I was like, man, I was like, Christopher Weir. I was like, that name sounds really familiar. I was like, Spartan Junk Removal. And I looked it up and I was like, yeah, three, blah, 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 in Maryland. And Taylor's like, you talked to this guy in October. I was like, that would have been helpful ahead of time. I was like, I was like, there we go. I never forget a good scrapyard. At least that when I pull into a scrapyard, I'm like, oh, I've been here before, right? I know that. Interviewing people, I take a lot of calls. That's my excuse.
Yeah. The good ones and the bad ones. You remember
Oh,
those maybe a little bit better.
100, yeah, 100% negative confirmation, 100% like a shit scrapyard. Like, yeah, remember I got about here and my tire got flat. Yeah, that scrapyard. Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, there's a big mud pit. You backed into it. You're like, this is bad, and you come out and there's someone sticking on the side of your trailer tire. Oh yeah, no, I've been to that one more than once. Oh yeah, there was or the one where it was 210 net ton, and somehow you got paid 180, and by the time you went back, because you didn't look at the receipt, you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you asshole. Screw me
Exactly.
out,
Yep.
screw me out of $30 when I can barely eat. Anyways, those are those were back in my scrapping days. Anyhow, you're back on the show. What is new? Why are you here? Let's chat.
Sure. Things are going pretty good. It looks like the market's starting to rebound a little bit. So we're pretty happy about that. I heard that we were experiencing it too, between November to December time frame. I know a lot of people were starting to slow down, even deeper than normal. I don't know how you guys were doing, but I know that's what our experience was.
November, no, the second half of November, the bottom went out, which we always expect that, and then December, we never it never kicked in. So sometimes in December we get like the first or second week we get a push. We never got the push. The other thing I'm noticing, January started off strong. January we missed our pro forma goal. We're still up, way up year over year. And then February we really missed our pro forma goal. So what did you guys feel in February? I for us the first 2 weeks were shit. It was cold. The phone wasn't ringing. I've heard a lot of people nationwide. February, I had another guy locally that said he almost lost his business in February. It was so bad. How was your February?
So our February, we were really fortunate to get some really large jobs. So we actually saw 100% growth year over year. It was just the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
But as far as December, never kicked in with us either. January was all right. We're definitely up. We're really pushing hard for, to be really responsible with our marketing. So we're actually not only good month or bad month. We're really starting to really focus on our marketing budget to keep it in line, so we're not letting Google eat it up, or any other of our marketing channels. So that's being really good as far as our profitability goes. So we're able to begin to ride these waves, because some months we're up way more than we thought we would be, and then some months it's like, why isn't it kicking on? But it's weird because I'm all of my friends all around the nation, like we're all feeling the same thing. So it's not just like one location. Every once in a while there'll be somebody who has like a lot more business,
Yeah.
but overall it seems like we're all riding the same waves.
Yeah. And what you said about February is interesting. It's like, yeah, you take out those 2 or 3 big jobs and maybe you would have had a shit month. That was the thing. We didn't get any of those bigger jobs towards the end of like January. We survived on big jobs. And then February, the bigger jobs were kind of gone, and we're seeing them come back in March. Again, the cyclicalness. I remember our October was nothing but big jobs. Like we were looking at quarter trailer jobs, like is it even worth it, right? Because everything was, we had a huge demo going on at the time, and we had an 8 or 10 plus trailer job every single week, if not 2 or 3 in a week, and it was like, oh shit. January was pretty steady like that for us. And then, the first 2 weeks of February, I think there is the pent up demand from November and December was satisfied in January. And the cold, exasperated. Any new demand was put on pause for 2 weeks. And I know for the cold that came through in February, I had one of my clients up in Canada. Same thing. Like the phone didn't ring for 2 weeks.
Hmm.
Saying it metaphorically, it's just when they're running a 3 truck operation, we need a certain amount of phone calls every day. For us, we run 6 trucks, 5 or 6 trucks in the winter here, and when I say the phone ain't ringing, that's like less than 20 phone calls a day. We got it. We got a big engine to keep fueling. So it's again subjective, and yet when I'm used to 40 to 50 phone calls a day, I'm getting 20, and half of them are crap. It makes for a long day.
Yeah,
And we're also
energy
we're doing an
bills are.
outreach, but yeah,
Well, I was going to say energy bills, at least in the Northeast right now, they're through the roof. I mean, people are having like,
yeah.
$6, 7, 8, $900 energy bills.
Oh,
That slows everything down.
yeah,
I don't know what the state of Maryland's going to do because I have a rental property that was empty and it was only heated to 55, so that the pipes wouldn't burst. I was still getting $350 electricity bills. And I was like, how? Because first, the house is ran by
oh,
gas. And the
yeah,
second thing is there's nothing on there. So how am
yeah.
I getting $350 energy bills? It was pretty wild.
So I went last week Wednesday, so the day after we recorded the show last week. I saw an economist, great guy. I'm gonna look him up real quick. Great economist out of Florida, and he came up and he said, and this happened last time with the tariffs. The tariffs are a short-term pain. Everyone's reacting. The markets are shit. The stock market's down. He's like, it's gonna be 90 days of shit, 90 days of stability, and the second half of 2025 is gonna be better than the first half, and 2026 is going to be better than 2025 because they're still driving right from a political standpoint, still driving to win the midterms, right? So it's like you can't have a 4-year plan in politics. You have the federal level. It's like 2-year sprints, right? You have a 4-year presidency, but it's like we also have to see growth within 18 to 24 months in order to keep control of the House and the Congress. So he was also looking at it from a holistic standpoint. He's like the first half of 2025 is like this thawing out of 4 years of ambiguity and 4 years of who's going to be president and 4 years of what's Trump going to do now. Now they kind of know his playbook. So now again, the economy is predicated on predictability, right? The
Mhm.
people that the people that want to buy houses, buy buildings, there's a level of okay, interest rates are going to be similar in 6 to 12 months. It's the market's not going to crash. So level of predictability is what creates stability. Stability creates a great economy. We haven't had that in the last 6 months, and now that the tariffs and the things are starting to happen. I think I'm not gonna say the worst of it has happened. We're already seeing the tariffs starting to get pulled back a little bit because again, now we're playing nice. I saw something earlier today about the energy prices up in Minnesota are through the roof, and it's like, well, because they're buying energy from Canada. It's like, okay, well, once they start buying energy from the United States or the United States starts producing more energy, it's gonna right size. So yes, this is the worst of the storm, and it'll level off. Same with interest rates. His argument was that interest rates are not going to move in the next 2 years. So he said buy a house sooner than later because the second going into 27, 28, 29, interest rates are going to go up. And then beyond 2030 is a mystery or bad. It's next 2 years we're in a stable enough time. And that's good because it's like up until 24, from 2020 to 2023, it was all COVID ups and downs, right? And now all the COVID money's gone, all the instability of COVID's gone. It's business as usual, and not because Trump's president. It's business as usual because things have finally stabilized, if you will. So anyhow,
Yeah,
there's your high level macroeconomics. I went to a 2-hour seminar last week. That's the extent of the economics I'll probably talk about this year. I was very excited. I was very encouraged. Also, his last line, this is my funniest part, 90 minutes. He's an economist. So it's numbers, doesn't give a shit. He's like, yeah, in 2040, when the economy goes to shit, doesn't matter. I'll be dead. Like he was just like, write down 95-mile-an-hour fastball, right down the plate for the most part. At the very end, he said, if you want to help your country to make America great, procreate. So his whole thing was we need more workers. His whole thing was
yeah,
we need right. We're bringing all those manufacturing jobs back to the United States. We have all the service industry job in the United States, and yet where are the employees? Like, and the misnomer of the unemployment rate and the people that live in their mom's basements. He basically was like, kick the kid out of the basement and have more kids. That was basically his solve to the economic woes of the United States.
Yeah, well, I have 5 kids. I think
You're
I'm
do-
done with having kids.
that's an American. See, look how we teed that up.
Uh,
I didn't even know that was going to happen. There you go, Chris. Wait, you're a true page. You know, some of us went to war. Some people procreated. Right? We're all heroes. We're all patriots in the eyes of the economists I saw last week.
no, and there's something interesting too. And you kind of talked about it to begin with. When demand falls down, there's something called economic snapback in
Mm,
pressures in the economy. When people aren't doing junk removal, or they're not, for example, traveling. Right after all the travel bans were released, we saw a huge dip in junk
yep.
removal. But a lot of that came just sheer to the fact that it was snapback. Everybody wanted to travel, so people weren't at home. We had
Yeah.
like a huge boom time during COVID because people couldn't do anything, so they just spent all their money and stuff on home renovations. That did us really well. So I think we're still kind of feeling the vibrations of that economic snapback. But having a budget for people out there, actually knowing what you're bringing in and adjusting
Mhm.
especially your ad spend. It's really, really easy to overspend on ads, and you personally cannot push uh, the economy forward. It's not just about
Mm.
spending; it's about also being smart when you spend, and also trying to touch your customers in different ways. The vast majority of marketing, all it is just being where your customers are, and the vast majority of our customers are at home. So yeah,
Mm.
Google pay per click is good, but yeah, put out those signs and just be a part of the community.
Mm.
Volunteer a little bit. You'll gain a
Mm.
lot of advantage just by giving back first.
Yeah, I love that. Simon Sinek talks about that. To live a happy life is to give without expectation in return. From an economical standpoint, or capitalistic mindset, when you go to chambers or different organizations and you volunteer to be on a subcommittee, to be on a board, to be an ambassador, hell, you just volunteer at the golf outing to, greet people or whatever. They will eat that shit up. They'll talk. We realized that last year. There was a golf outing we wanted to go to. All the sponsorships were sold. So we're like, all right, business development manager Chris, go there and volunteer. Like they had a volunteer sign up. So he sat there. He was there for 8 hours. He helped with the check-in. He helped with the checkout. He helped with getting the scores. He helped the vendors. It's like we spent no money and had a much higher influence of actually giving versus here's $500 and let us pitch to you on a hole for the 3 minutes you're in the tee box and you want nothing to do with us. Right. So there's more economical ways to get involved in your community and actually serve. And you're going to end up touching more people and having more high quality conversations because you're doing it in a non-threatening manner. And to your point, Chris, it's like, yeah, do the right thing. We've been doing the same parades for years. And the first year we did the parade, we bought candy, I'll say the first year because it was when we first launched. Second year we did the parade, we had cleaned out a storage unit for Wrigley. We had 2 pallets of expired, semi-expired gum. It's gum. Like the date is insignificant, right? Anyways, we did the parade like a couple months later with this quasi-expired gum. We were handing kids full like 18 pieces of gum, packs of gum. Oh, they thought we walked in the water. They thought, I mean, this was like they're getting little crappy Tootsie Rolls and we're giving them the good stuff. And then we did it in the next, that was the Memorial Day parade. We did the 4th of July parade. And the next year, I'm like, shit, we can't just hand out candy like everybody else. We've stepped up our game. So I went to Costco and I bought 80 boxes of fruit snacks. And so we did fruit snacks. People came up to me for the next year. They're like, "Oh, you always were the best candidate at the parade." It's like that was it, right? Fruit snacks and gum instead of Tootsie Rolls, and that's what people remember. It's like we're already there. We're already throwing the stuff. It's like, what can you do to differentiate yourself that has a net or at a it's still economical, right? We ain't handing out steak dinners, right? It's fruit snacks versus candy, and people remember us for it. Well, because again, it's a
Yeah,
differentiator, right? Anybody can join a chamber, spend the $500 a year, get their name in the directory, and go to a couple events. When you walk in day one and say, "Hey, what opportunities do I have to volunteer this year?" Or, "Hey, what nonprofits do you work with that are looking for volunteers? Go volunteer for their nonprofit." Or when we talk to companies, a lot of times I'll say, "Hey, how can we be part of your organization?" They're like, "Oh, we don't do sponsorships." I'm like, "Cool. Do you guys have a charitable company you work with? Can I spend a sponsorship to them?" on your our dollars, your name. Like, what can we do to get involved in your nonprofits? And people are very receptive because now you have two entities that are focused on the same goal versus this like, how do I sell things to you mindset.
Exactly. And you also gain a lot of experience too. And not only do you gain experience with people who are naturally, higher functioning. At least that's what I found through volunteer
Well,
work. Because people who volunteer, there's a couple things that you know about them. First, they like to help. They like to help
mhm,
people, or they want to be there. And yeah, I even have some buddies of mine who can't maintain jobs, and the first thing I say to them is, "Go volunteer." And it's funny because the most unfunctional of them all said, "I'll never work for free." And I'm like, and that's why you'll live in your mom's basement for the rest of your life because you have no skill. But
yeah,
everybody that I volunteer for an entrepreneur organization because I love working with business owners. I love being a business owner. And I give a lot of information, even for junk removal companies. Like a lot of people who
yep,
reach out to me, I just end up talking to them, even guys who are local, and it served me fairly well. As a matter of fact, we'll be taking over a junk removal company here shortly because of those relationships that I built up, and it just works. And it's also nice too because if you're doing something wrong or if somebody can put you aside, one of my buddies, his name is Ashton. While I was volunteering, I like to do a lot of things myself. That's just my personality, and he sat me aside. He's like, dude, you gotta give up some of this control, man. Like you discounted yourself because you can't do everything.
mm,
So even through volunteering, like I'm delegating work a lot more efficiently, and I get people to like explain to me how to do those things. And I'm actually starting to get really good at that. I have a lot of projects going on right now, and I wouldn't have been able to even get to that level without having people um, who that I've interacted with and people who've given me advice, and it's all in like good spirit. So even my personal growth, like the more I volunteer, the higher my skill levels go, and also the deeper the connections that go too. And it's just really exciting, to get back to the community.
well, what you said again, I look at everything. This is in the world I live in, where it's a lot of recycling. There's a lot of people that want to do good, and um, they're not doing something. It's like they have great hearts, and yet there's not an execution. Even one of my guys earlier today, he asked me, he goes, "Hey, does what we do in junk removal help climate change?" Right? And I go, "It might." Right? Like it's argumentative whether or not humans have impact on climate. Right? I'm not going to have that argument. Right? And yes, there's methane getting cooked off from landfills. Right? And there's yes, and keeping things and the more we keep out of the landfill, the more we keep products in the market, the less raw materials have to get dug from the earth, which is much less carbon emissions and less transport. Like, yes, we can make that argument. At the end of the day, it's the right thing to do when we know we're taking care of our community. Right. So I'm not doing this like huge philanthropic, I'm going to save the planet. And for a while, when I first started business, I was like, I'm going to save the planet by creating better, better processes to keep materials out of the landfill. And yes, out of the landfill is the starting point, out of the landfill. And yet it's, well, look all the good we're doing in our community. It's like, I might not be able to change the world by taking that dresser and donating it to Habitat. If I can change the world for one person, it's like, well, okay, let's get that win, right? That one I can celebrate. And again, it's volunteering, taking care of the community. Hell, even this show, right? It cost me money to do this show. People, I mean, especially our new marketing woman, she's like, well, why do you do this show? Right? I'm not selling anything. Yes, I do fractional CFO business. I don't really talk about it here. I'm not giving tips and tricks and strategy on CFO work as a way to fill my pipeline. It's like, no, you hit me up, I'll take care of you. And most of the people I do CFO work for are not in the junk removal space. So I do that because I saw a gap, and I'm also writing my next book on it because I see a gap. I find that interesting.
Hmm.
I do this show as an opportunity to meet people like you, interview people like you, and build the audience and not even build the audience. Forget the audience is building, right? Building the industry, right? What can I do? There's tons of clickbait individuals on YouTube that how to make $1,000 a day in junk removal. It's like, well,
Yeah.
how about how to build a sustainable life? Like that sounds a hell of a lot more interesting. How to take an hour a week to invest in yourself. How to listen for an hour and take two or three things and implement them into your life and your business. Right, two or three things a week. That's 150 things at the end of the year. 100 to 150 new things by listening to this podcast when you're driving. Like, oh, that's fucking interesting. I
Yeah.
know even like going to the economist last week, it was 90 minutes. I don't go out of my way to read the Wall Street Journal. I wouldn't even know where to start. And yet I sat down for an economist and got like, ooh, I got to do this, got to do this. I'm texting my girlfriend stuff. I'm texting my business partner stuff. I'm coming here today. I had no idea we were going to talk about the economy. It's like, oh, I learned this thing, and how do I share this with the world? Right? Like that's fucking interesting. And so yeah, it's about volunteering your time and energy and effort to increase your ceiling. And the other thing I like what you said is the people that volunteer, the people that you're going to meet, have the means to not have to work, and they have the heart to give. It's like, do you want to be around people that have disposable income and a willingness to give to others? Hell yeah. It's like, okay, well, go volunteer, put the work in. And to your buddy, final point, to your buddy who said, I'll never work for free, good. That's a fixed mindset. Oh, I said this a year ago. I was speaking at a college and I said, entrepreneurship is the intersection between what you're willing to do for free and what people are willing to pay you for. So when you're never willing to do something for free, it means you haven't found something you're passionate about enough. And without passion, you're going to struggle to live the life of achievement, to live, to exceed the expectations you had originally set out for yourself. You got to be willing to work. The answer to life is work, hard work, smart work, work smart, work hard. I don't give a shit. Work.
Yeah, in junk removal too, in our industry, and we talked about this last time we were on here about what an impact it makes on people, but we're giving a lot of time and effort into helping other people out in junk removal. Just touching again, just like we did last time, it's all about helping people. And most of the junk removal guys that I know, I immediately can tell when they're going to be the ones that go out of the business. Because all the
Yeah.
good guys that I see at the landfill, and I'm like, hey guys, how are y'all doing? And they're like, hey, even though we're competition, we're all doing the same thing. The nice, maybe not the good guys, the good guys are the ones that really last in our industry, but the ones who are like mean and like, I'm going to run you out of business. Dude, I've been doing this for way too long. And everybody that has ever said that, I don't see in 6 months,
But so
but
the better here's a better here's a better differentiator between those two people. Because I learned this about a year ago at a seminar. I really struggle with this. Good people, bad people, whatever. No, it's really simple. Growth minded, fixed minded. When you're growth minded, you look at abundance. Oh, hey, that's my competition. Like, the only thing I hate worse than seeing my competition is not seeing my competition. If I drive
Mhm.
around and I don't see anybody on the truck, I'm like, oh shit, sky's falling. Economy's bad. When I see our competition, the other day I drove downtown and back. I saw one truck on the way out there, one truck on my way back. I go, okay, there's market share out there for me to get. Right? Growth mindset. There's an abundance of work. I'm going to get after it. It's the people that have this fixed minded scarcity mindset, thinking exactly what you just said. Hey, I'm going to put you out of business because there ain't enough for both of us. So I'm going to push you out. And it's like,
Yeah.
cool story. I said there was a company that made a comment about us. I can't remember. Said one of our guys, they saw him at the gas station. It was like October, November. And I was like, I'll see them and this was last 2 years ago now. I said, we'll see if they're still around when the snow thaws. I don't think we've seen them since, right? A lot of people can talk shit at the end of the summer, right? Are you still talking shit come April and May? When the snow is just melting, right? And so that's a mindset difference of the people that are abundance or scarcity. One of our local competitors, he hit me up last week. He didn't know who I was, never even heard of our company. He got an email introduction to a woman that we both know from a title company. He's like, hey, I heard about you. I wonder if we can sit down and chat. I'm like, yeah. I gave him a tour of our warehouse. I showed him around. I said, this is how we do things. I said, what are the questions you got? We chatted for a little bit. He told me about a company he has that he's doing third-party answering service for. I said, sounds good. Not a fit for me. Okay, have a good day, man. Right? Like, I gave him my time and my energy and showed him our processes. There was nothing I hid from him. He's like, oh, I didn't expect you to answer to show me around. I'm like, hey, man, like, I don't know. Maybe you'll end up sending me work someday. Maybe you'll work for me. Or maybe I'll just wave you on the freeway. I don't give a shit. Doesn't pay for me to be an asshole. All right.
Yeah,
I don't, I got plenty of enemies. I'm not looking for more.
yeah, we get a lot of referrals, especially ones that border our territory as far as like
Yeah.
the areas we service. But as soon as it starts getting a little bit too far out, we really try to set a limit, nothing more than 25 miles out. And even that 25 miles, if we're going out
Mm.
that far, it's because we know the person or they've been referred by a person that we know, and we're really doing it just to like keep that connection there.
Relationship.
But
Yeah.
it's so nice when I can give a phone a call up and say, hey buddy, like I have some leads or something, we'll talk for a couple minutes or whatever. And then sometimes we'll meet up halfway just to have some lunch and stuff like that, just to talk about things. And like having a good relationship, especially with your competitors. And that's my team in the background.
Yeah.
But it's so nice to be able to have that relationship. And it's also nice too, because we've learned quite a bit from our competition. Maybe like talking about scrapyard. Hey, the scrapyard is really nice down here. So even though that's not like really competitive model, but it is nice to find out like some really interesting places. Buddy of mine just gave me one of his marketing guys, and he's doing a real good job. He knows exactly what he's doing. And I am like, this is just a single guy. He does it on the side, but he's able to lead some teams. And I'm like, hey, this guy is really low cost. He does a phenomenal job because that's what his actual job is for a living.
Mhm.
But just sometimes just having that good communication, even with your local competitors, can be a real advantage over the guys who don't.
Well, and then again, that comes down to how you live your life. When you have a scarcity mindset, it manifests, and when you have an abundance mindset, it manifests. My business partner now was a competitor. We were joking yesterday. He had sent me a message in August on LinkedIn, like, "Hey, man, I listen to the show. I'm gonna reach out to you some. And I was like, "Hey, let me know." He reached out to me in April. So we went from August to April, and he called me like I don't know, Tuesday night, Thursday night, whatever it was. I was driving home, got a phone call from a area code outside of our area code. It's still Wisconsin number. We talked on the phone for 45 minutes. 2 months later, he's my business partner. It's like, well, that worked out, right? Like, way to not be a dick that day, Andy. Right. Even when he messaged me on LinkedIn, he goes, "Hey, I want to reach out to you sometime. Hey, thanks for the connection." I go, "Sounds good." I wasn't like, forget you, guy. Right. I text him back within a few minutes. "Hey, sounds good, man. I'm available when you are." Like, all right, sounds good. And what was interesting, you have 3 locations. You said, you mentioned it there. You're taking over a competitor's business, or you're buying them out, or what's going on there? Or is that in the
Yeah.
works?
So they ended up moving out of state,
Hmm,
and they just weren't able to keep the location.
got it.
And we've been seeing this guy for like 5 or 6 years. He actually moved down to Florida. Really great guy. Uh, and I know him and his girlfriend, fiance, I guess, whatever, running the business down in Florida. And they're doing a great job, but they were looking just to get out because they don't want to be around the area anymore. And it's been a really good experience. Because I met them and we're actually talking more, and that's actually how I was able to get that referral to their marketing guy. And it's just been such a really good experience. But it's right next to one of our locations,
Hmm,
so I'm actually getting kind of like a multiplication effect out of it.
mhm.
So it's just really good. Like I said, we've been waving to each other for close to 5, 6 years. So it was nice when they were looking to sell. Their broker actually reached out to me,
Yeah.
and they just started hitting it off, and then it was really good from that point forward.
Yeah, that's a good. There's gonna be plenty of people that don't like you in this world. There's gonna be plenty of enemies. I tell people all the time, I don't go to my way to be liked,
Yeah.
right? I don't go to my way to be disliked. I also don't go to my way to be liked. There's some people in this world that go out of their way to be liked, certainly, right? We all know what that looks like. There's also some people that go out of their way to be disliked, and it's like, why? Right?
Yeah.
And so being, and again, waving again, it was interesting as with my business partner now, we had seen each other on the freeway like a week before he called me, and I waved to him, like maybe I nodded, like it was we acknowledged that we were both in the freeway, like you know, it wasn't it was a gentlemanly thing. And then, a week later is when he called me. And he also called me about a job that he thought was a shit job, and he didn't want to do it. And I could have been an asshole, been like, "Oh yeah, no, that's a good job. I think it's a good. You should do that, and it'll probably bankrupt you and your family, right?" Because it was a shit job. We were talking about it.
Hmm.
They're still working on the building now. It's March, and this was last April. He called me, and they're like, "Yeah, it was 30,000 square feet of carpeting glued down to a concrete foundation and
Wow.
drop ceiling at 8 foot on a 30-foot ceiling. So taking the drop ceiling out and then going all the way up and cutting out, like, I'm like, and at the time he was a one man operation with a couple firefighter buddies. And I'm like, I got 4 or 5 crews and I don't even want to do that job. That sounds terrible. And so I was honest with him. I was honest and fair broker when I talked to him, and that led to now me having a great business partner. So again, going out of your way, it's about again. I'm gonna stress this about this episode, right? It's all about that abundance mindset, and I get it. Right now, February was tough. March is looking rough. Tariffs, energy prices. It's like okay, well, do you look at the abundance and make decisions based on of abundance, or are you making decisions based on of scarcity? Because the challenge is when people stop marketing in January, February, March, their phone doesn't ring in April, May, and in June. And it's like, so what's your
Yeah,
strategy to market this time of year?
sure. So we know it takes about it's 3 to the third power, and we've measured this once we heard it, and it's absolutely true. So in order for somebody to see you one time, they need to see you 3 times,
Minimum, yeah.
and they need to see you 3 times in order to like make a move, and then after they decide to make a move, it's 27 days.
Yep.
I between
Math.
27 30, it is insane how accurate that is. I thought it was BS. But what we did is we did door hangers, and we hit a neighborhood 3 times in 3 months. And then of course we're always going back and forth, but after that third one, we got like 5 jobs and was 27 days after we put it. Of course, the first and the second time, like we had
Yeah.
like 1 or 2
Some.
people, but after the
Yeah.
third time, it was like, okay, we got like 5 or 6 out of this neighborhood. We're starting to get seen.
Mm.
So really what we do is during the winter months, we do scale back our pay-per-click ads just because
Yep.
it's supply and demand. When supply is down, demand is higher. Demand means we pay more. So we just backtrack or backtrack our budget just to stay where we know we need to be and for the winter. But with that said, we still have those ads running. We just try to make it so that we're not pushing up our cost per acquisition. And
Mhm.
then we put more signs out. And then when if my teams have like a like they have a little bit of wait, they got to wait for 20 or 30 minutes or something, they put signs out and then they park the truck out near whatever road they're at. So they're at like my teams go to Dunkin' Donuts all the time, so like we just get the furthest spot away from the door.
Oh,
We park the truck just so people can see us, and that tends to be pretty good. That marketing strategy really helps. But you're absolutely right. Uh, 2 3 months down the line is really when that marketing effort really starts to take effect. Uh, and our summers are normally pretty slam, but we're the same thing. We have 20 30 calls a day when it comes to January and February. And marketing is all about consistency. It's
mhm.
not about big bursts of movement. You're not doing anything. It's better to have a lower budget and keep things continuously moving than try to do one budget and try to do a hard hit. Be consistent with it, and it's really as simple as just having people see you exist. Be where your customers are. Park near grocery stores in near the neighborhoods where they are. Go to the local Dunkin' Donuts. Hold the door open for people.
Mhm.
Just be good people out there. It's surprising. We've gotten plenty of jobs just from going to local Dunkin' Donuts because my team goes every morning. It's like 5 minutes up the road. It's on our way to the landfill, so the guys are always going up in there and grabbing something. But we're even known by those guys in the morning at Dunkin'. So just being present and just making sure that
Mhm.
we stay consistent. That's the key for marketing.
That's one thing I struggle with. I'm a short burst, instant return, gotta fucking have it now. And it's a great reminder for me that hey, it's about consistency over time more than it is about these short bursts of because you might think oh all these people need to see it. It's like they didn't. They're not as important to them as you think you are.
Yeah, and if you can't do it, because I'm the same way, I'm very quick. I can very laser focused until I beat whatever I'm trying to figure out. But if whatever your personality type is, like if you're high quick burst, which there's an interesting test called the Colby test,
Hmm.
which you can look up,
I got
and it's
that.
not a
I,
psychology test, but it tells you the way that you do things. And
mm-hmm.
one of the metrics on there is high quick start. My quick start's really high, and I think a lot of entrepreneurs are. So the opposite is being a low quick start. These are the people who like to read things. Like my wife, she likes to do her research before she does anything. Actually, I drive her crazy. She drives
Mhm.
me crazy at times too, because we're at the absolute opposite of the spectrum. You know, she's an engineer. I'm like, let's jump off this cliff. We'll build the airplane on the way down, type of
Oh,
person.
yeah.
You know.
Right.
But
Why wouldn't we do that? Yeah.
I
Sounds
know,
awesome.
right? It's like, hey, it's no fun in just sitting around thinking about it all the time. But you know, hiring somebody that can keep up that consistency, and maybe not necessarily in house. You know, Upwork, VAs, people who have lower quick starts who like to be more routine in their work. Like, there's people out there that can help us remain that level of consistency. That's where, especially for a lot of entrepreneurs, VAs, or just hiring somebody in house to help manage the customer flow can be a huge asset and a huge value for them.
Yeah, I was looking at my Colby. I did that a couple of year ago already. It was in April
Yeah,
last year. I could not find my results. I think I have a hard copy of them somewhere. Um, my executive assistant and I could not be more opposite. She likes details. She likes steady. She likes boring. Right. And I'm like, and so, and her and I work great together because she hates making decisions. She doesn't want to make I'm like, I'll make decisions all day. I don't give a shit if I'm wrong. I mean,
yeah,
again, like, yeah, build the plane. Well, okay, well, get in the air. Let's get, I don't even know where to put the wing until I'm in the air. What are you talking about? What do you mean build the plane on the ground? My business partner is the same way. He wants to build a plane on the ground. I go, that sounds terrible. Let's get 30,000 feet up in the air and then I'll start to figure out how this thing flies. Like, and again, it takes visionaries and integrators, right? We have nothing but visionaries. We're gonna have 1,000 good ideas and nothing can get done. And when we have nothing but integrator types or um, executive executive or executive assistant types, we're gonna have a bunch of people that are really good at executing, and they're gonna have nothing to execute because no one's gonna want to make a decision. And so leaning
yeah,
in heavy on who you are and how you operate, yeah, don't run away from who you are. I said, lean into who you are. Double down on who you are.
yeah. And for those of who don't know, if y'all ever read the book
Oh my god,
Traction, have visionaries, and that's actually one of the books I hit quite frequently.
that's
Is you have it as well?
oh my god, it's our so we call it our hymnal.
Yeah, that's a key book right there.
Yeah,
Traction. Yup.
I lost the cover a while ago because I know me. Traction also rocket fuel that describes the relationship between the visionary and integrator. My girlfriend got me that book for my birthday, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I've read this like 3 times." She's like, "Oh, I thought you'd
That
like it." All the other books were new, but that one was, yeah,
Yeah, I haven't
yeah.
read Rocket Fuel yet. I think I'm gonna go grab that one because even the traction, like understanding, like, hey, I'm a visionary, I can run with it. I need help with integration. And we recently hired. Her name is Nicole. She's our integrator, and it has been, or she's been taking on the integrator role. Just that's her natural personality. And
Mhm.
geez, man, it's like there's so much stuff off my plate, and so much more stuff is getting done because I work with intensity, not with consistency. So I've been really focused
Well, that's a good
working
fucking
with
line. Oh, Taylor,
hiring people.
We found our episode title. I work with intensity, not consistency. I told someone the other day we're at a board meeting. I mean, I'm part of a board. I said, my word is more credible. Hers is more consistent because we had to reach
Yeah,
out to somebody, and they're like, that makes sense. I go, yeah. There's zero chance I'll actually follow through. Because we're trying to reach out to a guy for getting influence. And I was like, oh, I can get influence. Now I'll forget to do it. She's like, well, I have a pretty good relationship with him. I go, all right, yeah. I have more credibility. You have more consistency. So there you go. So you said you work in. Say it again now. Now I forgot. I was so busy talking about me.
yeah.
I forgot what you said.
I work with intensity. She works with consistency, and
My fucking
that's definitely
my business partner. It is stability. He is stable and steady. Two words that I've never been accused of. So again, takes all types.
it does. And then there's that mutual respect because even
Mhm,
though high intensity, high quick start, like we really have to realize like sometimes we do have to pump the brakes, and by listening to people and like
mhm.
allowing things to get moved forward, and sometimes it's a challenge to redirect our energies, or at least I know it is with me. It's like,
Oh yeah,
I want to get rocking and rolling now. you
yeah.
know
We have a new marketing person in our company, and I explained to her the other day, like when I say something, it's already done in my mind. I'm already on to the next thing. So when I say something and then like the next day I'm like, okay, and now we're on to step two. And she's like, well, I haven't finished step one. I'm like, why not? I said it out loud. You understood it. Like, why isn't it done? And that's not a rhetorical question. Is it
Yeah.
are you missing a resource? Are you missing experience? Are you missing the process? Are you missing information? Like what stopped you from I said it out loud. I it's done. Magically, it's done in my head. And now what I learned with my business partner, and this is actually a line from Never Split the Difference, Chris Ross.
Yep.
And the question I ask him now is, okay, what's stopping you from doing this? Right. And then he'll give me a no shit answer. Like we were talking about a new phone system. I talked to him this over the weekend or yesterday, was it? Yeah, it was yesterday. And I go, what's stopping us from doing it right now? He goes, I have a couple other projects I want to finish first before I start another one. Okay. Now I have a very clear answer, right? So now I know, all right, when these other couple projects are finished and put a bow on them, like we got new scheduling software and right, um, only for scheduling our guys, not the jobber. And I'm like, okay, so now I know here's the next logical reason why. Because in my head, it's like, well, why aren't we doing this? This sounds awesome. Let's do it. It's like, oh, there's a
Hmm.
logical reason why not. So what it does is it recalibrates what are the priorities. And he's also told me, I was like, hey, what stops us? He's like, I could do it right now, and this, and this won't get done. And then it gives me a chance to be like, oh, you're right. Now, last week I said I want to put a TV in our lobby. So when you walk in, hanging TV, so it has pictures of our guys, our fundamental of the week,
Hmm.
announcements, and it all got triggered. I thought about it for years. I want a TV in the lobby because when I go to people's businesses and they have a TV in the lobby that says, "Hey, welcome Andy Weins" or "Welcome this group" or whatever. And last Thursday I had my CEO roundtable come in, and I said I want people to walk in and see the sign that says, "Welcome," CEO roundtable for your monthly lunch. That's what I wanted. He goes, man, I think that'd be really cool. And our business development manager goes, yeah, that's a really good idea. An hour later, we had a TV hanging in our lobby. And the next day, we figured out how to do the slideshow and the fire stick and all the things. It's like, because that project trumped all the other things and had immediate impact, and everyone felt good about it. And so, yeah, the phone systems and these more, week long or month long projects were tabled for those 2 or 3 hours to get that one project over the line. And again, because he executes at a high level. My girlfriend's the same way. I told her about the book Vivid Vision. From the time I told her about it, I gave it to her a copy of it for Valentine's Day. She read the whole book, audiobook, or read it, listened to it, whatever. It still counts. She wrote out her vivid vision and hand jammed, and then typed out a 3-page document. Meanwhile, I finished reading the book and I jotted down like a half a page of shitty notes. So, like, she is pure execution, right? So, we talk about it. She's a dreamer and a doer. I'm a dreamer and a
Hmm.
delegator. And unfortunately, with Vivid Vision, uh, it's impossible for me to delegate my vision to somebody else to write. Otherwise, I would have already done it. Like, hey, someone else write the vision. It's like, well, that's actually Andy, and only Andy can do that. So we're a little bit of a conundrum here.
Yeah. Yeah, vision is such an interesting thing too, because the thing that I'm noticed most about entrepreneurs, especially if their business is stuck, it always goes
Ooh,
back to what the vision is first. Because by getting
ooh,
more of a clear vision of the future, and also making sure that vision is tied up, let's touch it back to giving back and having that growth mindset. For us entrepreneurs, if we're like, okay, I want to make $1 million, well, what does that mean? Like, you can make $1 million and lose a half a million if you're not being smart about it. But it's
yep,
like, really, what does that look, and how many customers do you want to service?
yep,
Let's say 1,000 customers is close to 600, so maybe you want to do 2,000, and maybe that's dwarfing your vision for even a million. Or like, how much do you want to recycle? And also when we talk to our team members too with the vision, and we can calculate it to what we're actually doing, not just for the vanity of the number, but the people
yep,
we're serving, what we're giving back. Weird things start happening, because it's like now all of a sudden everybody's like sees the vision, and the stuff they're
yep.
doing is working towards that vision. And that's really a way to success. I love vivid vision. That's a real interesting concept,
You're,
because you even have to think about that with your vendors. Like, if you're
oh
making
yeah,
this, are you paying your orders on time and all those things. We have a lot of credit with our vendors, and it's just because, I make sure we calculate that with whoever we're operating with. When we our mechanic, it's amazing how fast he gets stuff done. But we just
Yeah.
make sure we pay him as fast as possible, even though we have a line of credit
Yeah.
on there. And just, during Thanksgiving and stuff like that, we'll bring some cookies and stuff out to him and his team. Like, that stuff goes a long way. Taking care of our vendors along with our employees. That's really important.
So here's the book, Vivid Vision, Cameron Harold.
Yep.
So here's what's interesting. I was turned on to this book like 2 years ago. I bought a copy. This is what I do. I get excited about a book. I buy it, and by the time it gets here from Amazon, like 12 hours later, I've already forgot how excited I was to read it. And so it was on my shelf. So then my business partner, like 2-3 months ago, he was told about this book he was told about this book from's a better transitional word, from Barry. Shout out Barry, 505 Junk Removal, Built Accelerator. No big deal. They get a shout out this week. They get a shout out every week. That's how impactful Barry and the team are. And I don't even go to the weekly meetings. Crum goes to them and he brings me the info. Anyway, so Crum, my business partner, was like, hey, I heard about this book, Vivid Vision. Here's a cop, like, here's what it looks like. I was like, oh, I own that book. He goes, you didn't read it. I go, I haven't read it. So anyway, so this is the book. Here's what was interesting, what you said towards the end there. Here are the 4 main sections. Part 1, why you need a vivid vision, right? And you kind of hit on that already. Like, why? Because then we get all the roars run the same direction. We're focused on the destiny, right? And then we can enjoy the journey versus only getting through the day. Also having, I kind of heard this, it's more about your impact. What impact do you want to have on your community? Less than, right? Kind of, what can you give? Start with what can you give? I want to have this number of employees so I can give this many people jobs. How much can I donate? How much can I give back to the organization? How much material do I keep out of the landfill and give to people in need, right? So that
Exactly.
impact, the dollars will follow. Versus when you chase dollars, the impact will not follow. Second part, how to write it. Very simple. Okay, you got a vision, how to write it. Third section, how to roll it out. That's the key. It talks about internal rollout and external. They get to the point where they say, hey, put it on your website. Because then vendors are on board with where you're going and they might be able to find opportunities for you they never thought of because they now know where you want to be in 3 years. And finally, the last section, how to make it come true, right? This is that whole manifestation. I do not believe in manifestation for manifestation sake. I'm not a religious man. I went to church a week and a half ago. Good sermon, right? The stand up, sit down, kneel, not my thing. Sermon, all right. I always like a good motivational speaker with a message. I fuck with, I know who I am, right? So praying, hoping, believing, right? I'm not this manifestation. I'm a firm believer in rewiring your brain to say, this is what I want. And now I'm going to start looking for it. That's tangible. See, rewire my
Exactly.
brain. So when I observe the world around me, I orient myself to, hold on, I know what I want. Is this decision consistent with what I want? 2 years ago, I gave up drinking alcohol, right? It was a choice I made in the moment. Maybe I'll go back to drinking alcohol. No, who knows what the future holds? I gave up drinking alcohol because I wanted to focus on my own personal health, right? It was a mental health thing. Well, then I started
Mm-hmm.
sleeping better. I physically got better. And I thought, well, if I quit alcohol, what else can I give up, right? And if I'm giving something up, what can I replace it with? And all of a sudden now I'm living this healthier life, not because I dreamed of this manifestation. I go, no, what serves me, what doesn't serve me? And now other things in my life start going down that path. So the manifestation is about knowing what you want first. Second,
Yeah.
communicating to other people. And then what you said is dead on true. Your employees, your vendors, your customers, once they know who you are, where you're going, what you're doing, it'll start engaging their creative juices, helping you get where you want to go in this world. That's the key. Versus, hey, we're going to be the best junk removal company around and we're going to do, $1.5 million in top line revenue and 18% EBITDA. All right. And go team.
Yeah. Yeah. And how can anybody point, like, one thing I always like hearing, like I said, I have 5 kids, and then I always think, like, how could I explain this to my 5-year-old daughter of what I do? She's not going to understand. There's no concept of $1 million for a kid. But if I say, hey, I want to help 1,000 people, she might not understand the concept of 1,000, but she understand that daddy wants to help a lot of people.
Yep.
And once I started like changing the gears in my head, when it came to that, so many things got better. And I also became happier too, because I know I'm actually making a difference out there.
Hmm.
And not, not just vendors too, but like, let's say if you go out and even finding money for our trucks, because it's expensive running a junk removal company, and it is best to have our trucks leveraged with the bank if you're doing it correctly.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I
just
do.
don't ever
I
get for
don't ever what?
labor for labor. Let the
Oh,
labor pay
oh,
for itself. But
yes.
when it comes to trucks and you give them your vivid vision and you're like, hey, we pay our vendors on time, and we're open, honest, and we communicate. When you reach out, we're going to answer the phone.
Yep.
It is amazing. Sometimes in February, like we get dead, and sometimes the guys might not have enough savings. It is amazing when you call up your vendors. I did this early on, and I was like, hey, every February, I'm just giving you guys a heads up. There might be a little glip for our ability to pay because we're just not bringing in enough. It is
Yep.
amazing what the vendors say. And they're like, thanks for letting us know. It's like 30, 60 days. I'll give them a call 30 days beforehand. Februaries are bad. If it's too snowy, we can't operate. It's okay. We have no problems with anybody.
Yeah.
Granted, we're a little bit better off now than we have been when we first
Well,
started off because our business is a little bit more mature. We've learned what we need to keep, mainly because we made a couple mistakes early on, right?
oh
But
yeah,
just
they made
keeping it
choices. Yeah.
so amazing.
Well, that's what it comes down to. It's that open line of communication, right? You know what's going to happen, and you right. The right answer is let people know around you what's going to let them know what's going to happen. Hey guys, I know it's going to be like we tell our guys every year. August, September, October, save your shekels. When you're getting these fatty paychecks with 50, 55 hours, save them. I tell them the hours are not going to be here in January and February. And you're going to look at me and say, I got a short check. You didn't get a short check. You got a check for the hours worked. Now, we also save money throughout the year, and we also do all of our big projects in Q1, right? So our warehouse reset, every year we reset our warehouse or at least do projects around the warehouse. So we table all that stuff so that guys get hours. It's not, you ain't getting the same paycheck in October, that you got in October and February. Not happening. And so by having that conversation with our guys, and then also to your point, your vendors, I grew up in a family. We struggled, right? I've often struggled how to understand, describe where we were. Uh, we weren't broke. As broke as a state of mind. We were poor. The best way I can describe, my dad and I would drive around the nice neighborhoods the day before trash day to see what we could come up with, right? See how we could pay some bills, right? So that's kind of how we grew up living. And so I also knew how my mom operated. She knew when a bill was due versus when it was really due versus when you could put the check in the mail. My mom said, to this day we joke about it. She's like, I put checks in the mail on a Tuesday because I knew they would take till Friday for it to get there, or Thursday to get there, and then Friday to hit the bank. And I knew we were getting paid on Friday, right? Like, so yes, I have some vendors. I tell them if it takes you 6 months to send me a bill, like, accountants are the worst. It seems like my accountant will send me a bill for 6 months worth of work, all at once. I'm like, cool. Uh, Not gonna take 6 months to pay you. It's gonna take you more than 30 days. And I'm very frank with him. He's like, I know you're good for it, right? And also, don't send me bills in November, December for the whole year, or for send me the bill in July. I'll feel great about paying it in July and August. And again, that's the cash flows of business. And once I'm honest with people about it, like, I get it, right? And now the flip side, accountants, right? Their busiest time is Q1. They're getting paid in Q2. They're fat and happy till the end of the year, right? If
Mm.
anything, their hardest time is probably Q1 again because they're doing all the work and not, invoicing and not getting paid again. So it's like, have that honest conversation, even with your bank. You could talk to a big boy real bank, and when you're frank with them, they'll work with you because they want you to pay. They don't want to chase you. They don't want you to get negative mark on your credit because they want to lend you more money when you're successful, right? Because worst case scenario for them is you default and you never pay, and you go to bankruptcy and they never get their money. So
Mhm.
anything other than never getting their money is better than their current situation.
Exactly.
This has been a fun hour. See, I asked you at the very beginning, why'd you come back on the show? We never even answered that. We just got right back into it.
we really did, and that's great. Even the first time, this time, I've really enjoyed our conversation. It always takes these weird turns too, but it's it's great.
I don't know a fucking plan. That's, I mean, my other show I do right before this, I do a live show, Experience Any Wines Live. And there it's me solo. So there I at least have a working title. And there's been times it's like 6, 7 minutes before the show. And I'll go to Taylor, I'm like, this will be. And I'll be standing here, kind of the music's playing, I'm getting ready. I'm like, oh no, change it to this. It'll change the title of the episode. And then I freestyle. And sometimes I'm like, oh man, that was really dope. And other times I realize I spent 15, 20 minutes looking for an answer. Like, here we go. We're going to the woods. Not sure where we're gonna end up. And you know what? We're still going. So no, with you, like again, last week I'm like, Christopher's gonna be back. I was like, oh yeah, I know him. There we go. We can talk about well, that's why I also like having guys that are more regular contributors. Barry will be on what is Barry? Oh, Barry will be on in May.
Great.
Andy Barton will be on. Andy Barton will be on early in April as always. Because then we can talk about the next level stuff, right? There's a knownness to what we're doing versus the stand up, the
Hey,
standard stuff.
in talking about like relationships, I talked to Barry
Yeah, he's dope.
quite frequently, and actually Andrew Barton is how I got on here. He was like, "Chris, you're going on this thing." I said, "Okay."
Oh yeah, you were like a day of ad, right? That
Oh,
was
it
that
was
that
like
was that. Oh
yeah,
yeah, it was like
I
a,
only have 4 hours
hour before.
notice.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. He was like, "Here you go, Chris. Go on this podcast." And I was like, "Well, Fanny's like telling me to to do it." There's a couple people that I talk to quite frequently, and when they're like, "Hey, do this now," and I'm like, okay, let's go."
Well, that's the ride or die mentality. Um,
Yeah.
there's a there's a movie with Ben Affleck and a guy who was Arrow from Marvel series. He was also in the Hurt Locker. And I think they're brothers. I never saw the movie. I've only seen like the short clip, right? But he's like, "Hey, we're going somewhere. I can't tell you where we're going or what we're doing, but a lot of people are going to get hurt." And the guy looked at me, and goes, "Whose car are we taking?" Right? Like that's the type of relationship, right? And again, Andy Barton's that guy. He's like, "Hey, we're going somewhere. All right." It's like, "All right, whose car are we taking?" Right? Like flip flops or not? Like what are we doing? Um,
Exactly.
all right. Well, let's get to the big finish. What is I asked Taylor who our next week's guest is. I have the guest. I don't know if I have any information on this guy. And yeah, what was your top takeaway from today's episode? Let's get to that. Let's do things in order.
um, I really like with the title. Just really kind of working with who we are, and especially with a lot of junk removal guys. We have a lot on our plate. We work with intensity. We need to be consistent. I just, even like the last time we were on this episode, my takeaway is, just driving that in, even with my team. I did it the last time too, about how we make such a positive impact with people. Um, so yeah, I'm walking away with that.
No, yeah, we talked about this today. We had training day all day with our guys. We normally do one training day a quarter. We decided to do two because we had an influx of guys, and it made more sense, anyways, to do another training day. So took the whole day, and I started with, hey, it's all about the people. It's about the people in this room. It's about the people in the community we serve. It's about the people that contribute to what we're doing. And so, absolutely, it comes down to the people, and then the impact we can have. I really appreciate what you said about volunteering. That was huge. No one's ever brought that up before about volunteering as a way to gain influence. And not. I think more of a capitalistic standpoint, like, hey, what can I do for the chamber so I can get an immediate return on my investment? While you were looking at more like, hey, just go volunteer somewhere, anywhere. Like that's interesting, and no one that I can recall ever on the podcast has talked about volunteering and serving the community um, outside of their business, right? It's like, yeah, I do the parades, I do e-waste events, I volunteer here, volunteer there. Um,
it
Yeah.
gives such a deeper sense of life too, especially when you're passionate about it. I volunteer with entrepreneurs because we're all crazy for what we do. and
Oh
and
yeah.
anybody who owns a junk removal business, especially, there's a lot of things we've got to juggle. And those are the people that when I tend to hang out with, and I feel like I'm part of that community because I am. We're definitely a special group of people to take that risk and to juggle and really bring value to those around us. And that's so important in my life. And I just, just by just the sheer act of giving has given me so much back to my life. And yeah, that's why I like coming on here, and also talking to a lot of my um, even my competition, is being growth minded and giving back to the community. That definitely adds a lot. And it also makes people happier too. Entrepreneurship, sometimes you got to put yourself through the mud, and by having that extra purpose can really bring you out of the depths that we go into.
Well, that was so today with our training, we started with two questions. Before I said the first word, of preaching to our team, I said the two questions I said is, why are you here? Why do you work here? And what motivates you? And those are similar questions and not the same. And almost everybody had something to do with the people, the team, the people in the room, the impact we have in the community. Right. I reminded our guys, we get the opportunity to go in people's homes. Most jobs, you do not go in their homes. And even
Hmm.
when you do go in their homes, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, they're touching the house, not the stuff.
Hmm.
Right? There's a huge thing. I mean, cleaners, junk removal, movers, we're about the only ones that can go in and touch and move their possessions. Like it makes an impact, right? We touch the home part more than the house itself. And so we have that impact on people. It all comes down to people. My mom reminds me this every time I see her. She's like, it's always about the people. And I want to fight it, of course, because I'm like, it's about the process. It's about logistics. Um, turns out we need people. So yes, it does come down to the people. And when you lead with that vulnerability and people know why you're doing what you're doing, then you can move forward. Then you can start a movement. Then people will follow you. And when your movement is to make money, your movement's already dead because
Exactly.
that is self-serving. So I like that. Start with your vivid vision. Start with why you started your company or why you're still in business, and encourage people to come along with you on the journey. And do that through the book Vivid Vision. Do that through a vision board. Do that through your company values. Like traction, core focus, core values, right? There's all these things that are basically all saying the same thing. Paint the picture that you want your business to look like in 1, 3, 5, 10 years from now, right? You ask depending on who you talk to, they'll tell you. Traction says 10 years, Vision says 3 years. Hell, paint 1 year. I don't give a shit. Get a pro forma, get some people behind you. Here's the numbers. Okay, what does a company look like at $1 million? Talk about what the company looks like at $1 million. We got this many employees. They're customer focused. They're this, and this. Here are the values we live by. The $1 million will come or it won't. There's the argument. All right, we
Exactly.
did figure out. We did figure out who we have for a guest for next week. Austin Riley, veteran. No, I had it right in my head. Veteran Site Solutions. I want to say Veterans Solutions for some reason. Veteran Site Solutions, junk removal company, light demo out in Texas, also residential roll off. So he's a new junk removal company. Never had a conversation with him to the best of my knowledge. Then again, I said that last week with Chris, and I full ass had a conversation with Chris, emergency last guest. You know what? Here's the deal. Here's the beautiful thing, though. Last June, let's talk about Wise. Last June, Casey had a transition in life, and so he got out of the podcast. And I stood right here, and I sat. I didn't have the standing desk at the time. I stood right here and said to the audience, "Hey, I'll keep doing this podcast so long as we have an audience. As long as we have an audience and we have guests, I will keep doing this podcast." And then we took a couple weeks off in July, summer shit, whatever, reset. We haven't missed a week since. From August until now, we've gone strong. Even the 3 weeks over Christmas, New Year's, and whatever. I said, "Oh, we'll take a break." We had guests every week. Now we got Austin coming up. Chris, you're coming on for the second time. You were our emergency fill-in, oh shit guest. We had Tracy, whose internet stopped working, and then I just picked up and did a second half episode with him the week later. We had Casey from Stand Up Guys. He wasn't able to do a day of. we adjusted fire, and then he came on. So actually, we're like a week ahead of schedule. We're fucking killing it. Point being, this community survives because of the listeners, right? I will volunteer my time, energy, rapport, whatever, to get people on so we can talk about this industry, so we can build this industry. That's what it comes down to. How do we build this industry together? It's that abundance mindset. It's about waving to the guy at the transfer station. It's about sending work to your competitors when it's a better fit for them than it is for you. And that's how we build this industry. And the fly-by-nighter guys, they come and go. They always have, they always will. Let them be. Let them do their thing, because you, with your vision, are destined for greatness. You're taking the time every week to invest the 1 hour to listen to what we have to say here. You're taking the notes. You're taking action on what you're hearing here today. And you're going to have the abundance of knowledge and abundance of mindset, abundance to give your team so that you can succeed in the future. You want to be part of that movement, this industry, whatever we want to call it. Go to the trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com, apply to be a guest on the show. Most people, as long as you're not trying to sell me some shit, most people make it on the show, because it's always interesting to learn from people. Also, like Chris, Chris was referred by Andy. So somebody, refer them to be on the show. There's someone you think is really cool that you heard at a conference or something, you want us to reach out to them. The other thing I'm going to be doing this next season, I'm coming up on season 4. I'm calling episode 157 season 4 because it's math. So we're wrapping up season 3. I'm going to start bringing some of my employees on the podcast so that you guys can get a behind the veil of what we do here at Camo Crew Responsible Junk Removal that makes us so successful. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Taylor, our producer. I'm Andy Weins. This has been another amazing week of the Trash Talk Business Podcast, and we will see you next week.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks for listening. Tap subscribe or follow to get the latest episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to leave us a review and tell a friend to listen. To learn more, visit trashtalkbusinesspodcast.com. Bye now.